Do you want to know how to grow your Twitch channel in 2019? Yeah, a lot of people do. Lots and lots of people do. And so some people have figured that out and try to gain fame or popularity or Twitch or Twitter growth by teaching other people how to stream. And this has led to a lot of advice coming out on Twitter that sounds amazing, sounds correct, but in my opinion, might not actually be realistic advice. So this video is all about what I think is better advice. It might not sound the best advice, but it is better advice. So if you want to learn actual truth about Twitch advice, then stick around till the end of the video. So I see a lot of advice given out about Twitch streaming, and a lot of it, in my opinion, is inadequate. A lot of this advice comes from Twitter, where on Twitter people want to grow. They want to grow their Twitter platform, and so they like to chase likes and retweets, and one of the best ways that they find to do that is to say things that sounds good. The problem is a lot of time these things might sound good, but they might not actually be good. And so I thought I would make a video on some of the common pieces of advice I hear all the time about Twitch streaming and give you an alternative, give you a little bit more. Maybe those pieces of advice aren't the best, but here's what I think is. So coming in at number 5, I think this is probably one of the things I hear not as much as I used to. But when I first started, I heard this and I still hear it now, and that's don't be a variety streamer. And I just don't think this is fair. Don't be a variety streamer. People say don't be variety because it's too difficult. It's too hard to grow. You're going to struggle too much. And it's too late in 2019 to be a video game variety streamer. And I don't think that's true. I started my channel just under a year ago. In fact, we're coming up to a year this week. And I, in that time, have accrued nearly 2,000 followers and 50,000 channel views. In fact, 55,000 channel views, I think. So I know those metrics aren't necessarily a good indicator of how well your channel's doing, but it proves a point, right? It proves a point you can grow on Twitch in 2019 as a variety streamer. So what I think a better piece of advice is temper your expectations of variety streaming. A lot of people start variety streaming because they think that they get to play what they want when they want. A lot of people think that variety means you can sort of just turn up on a Monday and say, I'm playing PUBG today, or I'm playing Fortnite or whatever, and then Tuesday I play whatever I want. And that's, in my opinion, not realistic. I think what's better advice is to say, hey, if you're going to be variety, expect it to be a little bit more difficult than streaming 1 or 2 games, because you are trying to tap into many different audiences, and a lot of those people who stick around for one game won't stick around for another one. There'll be some games that do really well for your channel, and then you stop streaming them and you start streaming a different game and they don't do as well for your channel, and that can be disheartening. And that's one of the reasons why variety is harder, in my opinion, than streaming 1 or 2 games. So I think better advice to not stream variety is just temper your expectations, acknowledge it is going to be more difficult, but if you really want to, if you have a reason to be a variety streamer, then do it. My reason for being a variety streamer is I like to critique games. I like to critique them, I like to give an honest opinion about whether I like them or whether I don't. Usually it's somewhere in between. But I like to give you honest opinions about video games, and I can't do that for just one game. I can't critique the same game over and over and over again. And so I like to try and play new releases when I can afford to, but I like to go through games and say what I like and dislike about them. So for me, I need to be a variety streamer, and that's my mission, that's my goal. But for you, if you are somebody who wants to be a variety, just ask yourself why you want to be a variety, and if you can't think of a good reason other than I just want to play whatever games I want whenever, then perhaps consider sticking to a game or 2, but don't let anyone tell you you can't be a variety in 2019. It's a load of rubbish. So number 5 kind of leads into number 4, which is stream what you love. Now this piece of advice I think is not necessarily bad advice, but I think it's not really fair. It's not really realistic. A lot of people say stream what you love. If you're not loving the game that you're streaming, then there's no point, people won't enjoy your stream. And that's not true. I'm going to tell you now that is not true. whatsoever. Let me give you an example of this. I once streamed Alien Colonial Marines on my channel, on my Twitch channel, a game that I loathe. I cannot stand it. It is one of my, if not my most hated video game of all time, because I love Alien and this game was a travesty. But I streamed that game one day on Twitch to highlight a bad game from history. I said, guys, this is an awful game. We're gonna suffer for it together. It's gonna be fun. And it was fun. People enjoyed that I hated the game. They came in and they were like, oh my god, why is he playing this game? We know he hates it. And so I played a game that I didn't like, and it worked well. Now, I wouldn't do that every day because that would be draining, but the point is you don't always necessarily have to be playing games that you love. Now, if you are somebody who's going to stick to one game, or maybe two games, you really probably should try and find a game that you enjoy, because if you're streaming it every day and you don't like it, then sure, you're going to probably get bored of it or burnt out at some point. However, acknowledge that some games do well for your channel, and some games don't do well for your channel. And sometimes, games that work well for your channel are games that you hate. And sometimes, games that you really, really love don't do well for your channel. So I think a better piece of advice, rather than always play games that you love, is accept that sometimes you aren't going to play games that you like. And that's okay. You can still make entertainment out of a game you don't like. You can still do something with a game that maybe isn't your favorite game. But if you are going to play a game that you love, and it does well for your channel, perfect. Just expect that isn't always going to be the case. Number 3 is something that I hear quite a lot, but this one's actually a little bit controversial. Some people like this advice and some people don't, but the piece of advice is network, 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 network. Always be network. Now, a lot of people don't like the term networking, a lot of people like other terms. I'm not going to get into that. When I say networking, what I generally mean, or what people generally mean, is spending time in other people's streams, getting to know other people to expand your network. That's the whole point of networking. Now, I'm not saying that networking is bad, but networking can only help you so much. What a lot of people expect is that they will spend time in your stream and that you will spend time in their stream, and this isn't realistic. Just because somebody comes along to my stream, I can't go into everybody else's stream. For every person that comes to my stream, that's 30 people sometimes, I can't go to all 30 people's streams. It's impossible. And so this model of networking growth is very limited in how it can help you, and I think a lot of people start this off and they get some good growth because they see those people return to their streams and that helps their numbers, and then they very quickly realize that it's not sustainable. So I'm gonna suggest that rather than networking, what you should be doing, or in my opinion anyway, is making friends. And I mean genuine friends. I don't mean making friends or pretending to make friends because you want them to support your channel. I mean actually go out and try and make some friends on Twitch. Trust me, this piece of advice I would give everybody, no matter whether you're a partner, no matter whether you're a brand new streamer, I would give this piece of advice to everybody because it's going to help you in the long run. It might not help your channel like networking will, but it will help you in the long run. And without you, you can't stream, so it makes sense, right? But the reason why I say make friends is because at the end of a long stream day, the end of a day of content creation, what do you do? Now for me, quite often I go and log onto a game and play with my friends, most of which I found on stream, which before this, I didn't have any friends to video game with. I used to, and over the years I've lost them, so I didn't have any friends to video game with. I actually met a lot of people through Twitch that I now regularly play video games with in my downtime, and it's fun. Friends are there for you when you have bad days. Friends are there when you need a bit of inspiration or advice. In fact, my channel name, we went for a change. I used to be called Mr. Grumpy Face UK. Yes, I know. Now I'm called The Grumpy Brit, and this name change, I actually went through a friend who I met on Twitch, and we discussed it, we brainstormed together, we came up with a few different potential names, and we both sort of together settled on this name. So without that person, I might not have been able to find the name that I have now, and I think this name is a lot better than Mr. Grumpy Face UK anyway. So I really truly believe that making friends on Twitch is a really beneficial thing for you in the long run, and it's much better than networking. Number 2 is a piece of advice that I think is good advice, but like anything, it's not realistic to the real world. So number 2 is don't stream too much. I hear this is more of a new piece of advice that has surfaced up. A lot of streamers are saying don't stream too much. Don't stream 7 days a week. Don't stream 6 days a week. Don't even stream 5 days a week. Stream a maximum of 3 days a week. This 3 days a week, this magic lucky number 3 has popped up, and apparently anything more than 3 is too much, according to some people. Now, the reason I don't think this is fair or true is because I used to stream 5 days a week. I have done for the longest time ever, and recently I cut down from 5 days a week to 3 days a week, mainly because I am struggling with mental health things recently, and I think 3 days a week is a lot more manageable. But cutting down from 5 days a week down to 3 has actually really harmed my growth. I'm getting lower average views, I'm getting less followers per week, obviously, because I'm live less. I have to limit myself to 3 different games a week, whereas I used to have the option of 5 different games a week. And so dropping down to 3 hasn't really worked for my channel like a lot of people claim it works really well. So I'm going to give an alternative piece of advice. I'm not going to tell you how many days a week to stream, because some people want to stream more than 3. Some people don't want to stream even 3. Some people want to stream 1 day a week. My advice to you is look after yourself. And I know this one isn't advice about growth on Twitch. Well, I guess it is. I guess it is if you think about it. But look after yourself. No matter how many days a week you are going to stream, just make sure you are looking after yourself. If you're streaming 7 days a week, fine. Look after yourself. Make sure you are staying hydrated. Make sure you are leaving the house. Make sure you are getting exercise. All of these things, by the way, I have not been doing for the last few months, and I know it has caused me health problems. So I'm telling you this as somebody who made this mistake already. Please don't make the mistake I did. I was streaming 5 days a week and it took over my life, and I wasn't looking after my body like I should have been doing. Now I have condensed those days down to 3, and I am much more looking after myself. I spend some days out of the house now. I have much more free time to do other things. However, you've got to remember that it also has slowed down my Twitch growth. So I'm not going to tell you to only stream 3 days a week. I'm going to tell you no matter how many days you stream, look after yourself. Number 1, this one might be a little bit controversial. And yes, that's how I say that word. I'm British, goddammit. But this one might be a little bit controversial because it's something that sounds so correct. And this piece of advice that I hear all the time on Twitter that I think is just completely wrong is always be positive. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, whoa, that's solid advice. You should always think positively, and thinking positively brings good things to you as a person in general, let alone on Twitch. And while I agree to an extent, I think there's a common myth at the moment between both streamers and viewers that streamers always have to be positive. And I think it's actually really harmful. This mentality that you always have to be positive can be really damaging. Like, I was having a rough week. I've been struggling with mental health recently. I've been struggling a little bit with physical health recently. I have cut down my stream days from 5 days to 3, which is good for me, but not good for my channel. And all of this combined with money stress and general life stress just got to me, and I had a bad day. I had a bad day, and that day happened to be one of the days I was live streaming. And I had a bit of a rant. This is generally how I cope with stress, is I rant about it, I vent about it, and then I move on. I usually after a rant, I very quickly move on, and that's just how I deal with stress. But somebody came into my stream, a good friend of mine, another streamer came into my stream, and she said something which I think is so true. She said that people on Twitch are expected to be positive all the time, and that's not healthy. And I think this is so true. You're constantly being told you're not allowed to moan or complain. If you do, you are viewed as being ungrateful, when in reality, Twitch, like any other job, if this is your hobby, then most of this advice isn't going to apply to you. But if this is your job, then like any job, it has stressful parts. You're going to have bad days. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. And so my piece of advice that's better than always be positive is accept that bad days are going to happen. Accept you are going to have plateaus in your growth. You are going to lose subs for no reason. You are going to turn on to stream one day and you're just not going to get as many viewers as you did last week. It's going to happen, and rather than feeling like you cannot even complain about it, rather than do that, accept that it is going to happen, and accept that one day you are going to have a bad day and you're going to be grumpy and you're going to maybe be grumpy on stream. Don't beat yourself up about that, because I know for a fact that the day that I was grumpy, I beat myself up about it afterwards. I felt, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have been grumpy on stream. I should have been positive on stream. I should have put on a front because that's what people tell you to do. And I just don't think that's fair or healthy. I think it's far better to confront a problem and tackle it and move on than it is to pretend it doesn't exist. So rather than always be positive, maybe just accept that you're gonna have bad days and don't beat yourself up about it. So this has been my 5 pieces of advice that I think aren't the best and 5 pieces of advice that I think are better. Tell me if you agree with me, tell me if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments below, and if you found this video useful, please subscribe, and as always, hit the bell icon to be notified of when I do more videos, which is probably going to be a lot more now that I only do 3 days a week of streaming. But as always, I've been the Grumpy Brit. Thank you very much. Look at me, wearing a black t-shirt against a black background. At least you can't see how fat I am.